Yeah, so I wanted to one thing I wanted to address. You know, the NBA season is kind of new, so I'm not going to get into the whole Kyrie Irving thing. I'm not touching that. I think he's on his own. He's on his own planet.
Really, at the end of the day, it's not surprising he would.
It's just it's unbelievable, dude. The season just started. You can't get through 2 weeks without having some kind of controversy. And and I know you blame the media for it, but no, dude, it's your fault. Anyway, so the talking about teams that are struggling, right? Teams are struggling right now. We got Brooklyn struggling, Philadelphia struggling, the Lakers obviously struggling. So I want to revisit this because I feel like it's very prevalent right now. Is I was really critical of Philadelphia trading Ben Simmons for James Harden. I thought this trade was a disaster for both teams. Everyone's debating who won the trade, blah blah blah. I'm like, no, this isn't gonna work for either team. I've seen a little bit of both teams, and they have a lot of concerns. Number one, Ben Simmons is pretty much afraid to do anything at this point. He fouled out of 2 games. Like, everybody's like, oh, let him get back in the flow, blah blah blah. It's like, it's basketball. Like, he's been playing basketball for a pretty long time now. Like, he's kind of afraid to shoot, even like at the basket, afraid to shoot. Like, he looks timid is a nice way to say it, but he looks shell-shocked. Like, I don't see him being a contributor. Dallas played them the other day, and Luka was like pointing out, come set the pick so I can, put Simmons on me so I can take him to school. Like, I don't even know about defensively, like, this is going to work. And everybody's like, oh, he's just got to distribute. And Kyrie and Kevin Durant keep apologizing for him, and we'll see. We'll see. I think he's going to be benched at some point. I don't think this guy has a lot in the tank, and you're paying him $35 million this year, $37 next year, and $40 million the year after that. So yeah, it's pretty much a disaster, like I said it would be. And this Brooklyn thing just looks terrible. Everyone telling us they would be good. Like, there's no world that exists where this Ben Simmons thing was going to work out. I told you that from the beginning. As far as the James Harden side of it, there's a lot of problems with Philadelphia. First of all, I think James Harden is acting like, oh, this is my team now. Like, oh, I'm going to take over. I think that's how he's treating it. And it's like, actually, no, dude, this is Joel Embiid's team. Like, you're just getting in the way now. Like, you're getting in the way. Tyrese Maxey is kind of ascending. Like, he's turning into a really good player. And you're kind of causing a problem, and the other problem with Philadelphia is Doc Rivers. I like Doc Rivers, but he's not a let's bring everybody together coach. He's not the psychologist, right? He's not going to take guys that are having issues and kind of meld them together and make it work. That's not how he works. Like, when it's worked out for Doc Rivers, it's because he's had guys who just come to work, right? In Boston, he had Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen. They just come to work and play basketball. There's no, there's no other stuff with them. They set the culture themselves. He doesn't have to do any of that. Doc Rivers, doesn't have to be involved in that. Okay, he goes to the Clippers, no culture. What happens? They fall apart. He wasn't built to handle Ben Simmons, so maybe that's a good thing that they got him out of there, but he's not built to deal with this either. Because, Embiid is the one who should be getting the ball on this team, and I just think James Harden he's making it worse. Like, I just feel like they really didn't need James Harden. Like, they could have stuck with what they have, kept building the roster around Embiid. I just feel like they would have been better off. And I'm sorry, I don't feel like even if Harden plays well for 2 weeks, you're not going to get this the whole season. And even if you get it for part of the season, you're not getting into the playoffs. So yeah, this to me jumps out like this is a disaster for both sides. It's not going to work out. Now, both teams, by the way, have a whole litany of issues. This isn't the only issue that they have, but I just want to revisit this because early in the season, this is something I see that is just, become quite obvious. And as much as I want Philadelphia to be good, as much as I want to root for them, I just don't think this is going to happen. I think mid-season coaching change is more likely for both of these teams than them to actually win a bunch of games and be really good. So, I'm sorry, after that interview that Ben Simmons gave to JJ Redick, I mean, I didn't believe in him before, but I'm out. I'm totally out. This guy still thinks he's awesome, still thinks he doesn't need to work hard, and I don't think he cares about basketball enough. I just don't think he does. I think he likes everything that basketball gives him, but and James Harden's pretty similar. Like, I think if he can go out and play his way and do his thing, it's great. But I just think it's detrimental to the team.
Yeah. Yeah, meanwhile, the Lakers, I don't know, I guess before the season I thought, well, if they have LeBron and Anthony Davis, they could maybe be a play-in tournament team, right? I don't even think that's going to happen. They suck. They can't shoot threes at all, So, and it's just, I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but this is what happens when you do a shitty job running your organization, which they've been doing a terrible job running the organization for 12 years. LeBron wanted to live in L.A., so he went there. Then they had a pandemic, and so LeBron was healthy enough, and Anthony Davis was healthy enough, and they were able to win a championship, okay? They basically, LeBron, the first year, they didn't make the playoffs, win the championship. Next year, losing the first round because Anthony Davis gets hurt. LeBron was also out for a bunch of the season. Last year, don't even make the playoffs. This year, I don't think they're making the playoffs. So, look, at this point, it's beating a dead horse. I don't really need to, Colin Cowherd's going on there oh, well, they need to, why, you need to have a better team around LeBron because blah, blah, blah. It's dude, I'm not saying LeBron's done, but in terms of LeBron winning championships and making the finals, I kind of think that's granted, some of that's this team is really not good enough, but even if you put a good enough team around him, he's been playing for 20 years. It's just, come on.
No, look, we've been over this ad nauseum. They had the roster that they needed. They had the roster that would win, and they freaked out because they lost in the first round and Anthony Davis got hurt, and they blew up the whole thing for Russell Westbrook. And it's basically put a hole, they're now stuck and they can't get out of it. And, I know Colin thinks, trade Anthony Davis. That's not going to solve the problem.
No.
You're not going to get a great player back for Anthony Davis right now. The guy's in between being hurt. He's not hurt or not playing well. The idea of that's going to fix your team is ridiculous. They need to send Westbrook home. Okay? They're better off without him. Okay? I don't care if they buy him out, whatever. Get him out of there. Okay? He's not helping you. He's only hurting you. And, I don't see any way. And, it's just funny to me, we're blaming the Lakers for this. It's well, I don't know what percentage is LeBron's fault, but part of it is you signed off on Russell Westbrook. You wanted this. You chose this. So you don't get to go, oh, well, we just don't have any shooting.
Okay.
I don't know what to tell you, man. To me, it's at least 30%. This is on LeBron. And now the Lakers want to put their foot down. Oh, you wanted Russ, so now, but no, we're not going to trade him. We're not just going to do whatever you want. Oh, now you're going to put your foot down. Really? So yeah, the Lakers are kind of hopeless. I just don't. I don't see any way.
Let's just be honest here. Really, let's play this out. Okay, Jeannie Buss isn't going to sell the team.
No.
So, and is there any indication she's going to stop taking advice from, I don't know, Kurt Rambis and Linda Rambis and whoever else she's taking advice from, and she's going to hire an actual GM and not Kobe's agent? We have no indication that that's going to happen. So, barring them getting lucky again like they got lucky getting LeBron, why would we think the Lakers are going to be good in the next 5 to 10 years?
Right.
Now maybe they're so bad one year they get a really high draft pick and they get a franchise-changing player. But even then, they'll probably fuck it up because they won't do a good job building the right team around him. So, yeah.
At this point, the best thing they can do is get rid of Russell Westbrook, however you can. Figure that out. Just get him out of there, okay? And then you can roll, and then you might be able to roll with what you got. But it doesn't matter. Your roster is just nowhere near.
They don't have good three-point shooting, and it's 2022. If you can't shoot threes well, forget it.
Right. There's no, if that, I still don't buy that trade with Indiana actually existed. Like, because if it did exist and they didn't make the move, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. But I don't think that trade really exists. I don't think anybody's taken,
maybe there were some discussions about it, but maybe it really wasn't that serious, or it wasn't like really far along because it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it doesn't at all. But as people, well, it's funny, like the tanking conversation, like everybody thought that all these teams were going to tank, and then they're like, Utah wins the first 3 games. Everybody's like, oh, I guess they're not tanking. It's like, let me just explain something to people, okay? As long as you're in the bottom 6, you're good. As long as you're in the bottom 6, you have a 14% chance of getting the number 1 pick, right? If you're in the bottom 3, you have a 25% chance of getting the number 1 pick. But as long as you're in the bottom 6, you have a really good chance of getting the first or the second pick. So you can tank and still win games, right? If you think about it, 10 teams in each league make the playoffs or play in, right? That's 20, right? So then there's 4 other ones that they don't even get into the top 10, right? So you only need to be in the bottom 6. You don't need to be horrible to have a good shot at getting the number 1 pick. Like this idea that, oh my God, and Adam Silver's really worried about tanking. First of all, the tanking happens in the second half of the season, first of all, after the trade deadline.
Yeah, because you can dump players and make your team really bad.
Exactly. You can dump players, clear your salary cap space, all of that stuff. There'll be some tanking. It's just not going to happen right now. And honestly, Utah has too many, they're not bad. They have too many players that can do stuff. They have Colin Sexton. They have Mike Conley. They have some guys on their team who can do stuff. So they're going to be competitive. But but anyway, so that's my early season. The Heat, I'm a little concerned about. I think they're 2-4. They lost to Sacramento. It's not looking great right now. Depending on Kyle Lowry, looks like a bit of a problem.
I basically think that when they signed Jimmy Butler 3 years ago, I was kind of like, all right, they can be a playoff team. Now they've exceeded my expectations for what they were going to do 2 out of the last 3 years, but I kind of said to myself, all right, the end of the Jimmy Butler era or the last 2-3 years of it, the Heat are not going to be, trying to contend in the Eastern Conference. I just don't see it. And Kyle Lowry's not the same guy. So, and then it's like Tyler Hero's better. It's like, he's a nice player, but he's not going to be, and it's like they need, and then I read something that when Bam Adebayo is on the floor, they're much better than when he's off the floor. And I'm like, yeah, Bam's a good player, but he's not, you can't really rely on him to be scoring a bunch of points in a, big playoff game. Or consistently making shots, you're like, he should be able to make that. So, it's they are what they are. They're kind of locked into what they have, and the other teams in the Eastern Conference got better and they didn't. So, just is what it is. Yeah,
it's going to be. We'll see how the season goes. I'm sure the Heat will always find a way to be decent in the regular season, but it's a tough road out there.
They sort of lucked out in the playoff draw last year. I mean, if they have to play Milwaukee in the first round, or they got to play, who else? Even if they had to play Cleveland, they might struggle with them. So I just, if you don't get a good draw in I don't think they can win a playoff series. So.
And Milwaukee, by the way, 5-0. So, we see where they're at. They're just smoking people. So, anyway. All right, so I think that's it for this week. Everybody enjoy the games, and next weekend should be a lot of fun.